Hey folks, I'm Brendan, and you're watching the Overqualified Henchman. Today's topic, why the Toronto Maple Leafs new logo is actually just like Superman. I'm going somewhere with this. The obvious point of comparison is looking at the Leafs logo next to Superman's S. And it's kind of neat to follow the two logos throughout the years, as they both got more simplified and geometric. Superman's obviously had a lot more variations over the years, but that makes sense, because it's a lot easier to try something new in the next issue than to get a whole new set of jerseys made up. Thing is, I'm not saying that the new logo is like Superman's logo. I'm saying that it's like Superman himself. Stay with me now. So back in 2011, DC had an event called Flashpoint, where the Flash went back in time, messed everything up, and only mostly managed to put it back together correctly. This is why we can't have nice things, Barry. To represent that new timeline, DC canceled all of its titles and relaunched 52 #1 issues, the New 52. And see, this is actually a lot like having a mitt full of new draft picks, while guys like Constantine, Midnighter, and Apollo got called up from the Marlies to join the main DC universe. And just like with hockey prospects, some of those titles were good, some were pretty disappointing, and a lot of them were just hoping to stick around long enough to develop and prove their worth. But a new version of the DC Universe meant a new version of Superman, too. Younger, less experienced, no longer wearing the underwear on the outside of his pants. Think of him as the Chris Pine to the pre-Flashpoint Superman's Shatner. And see, fans reacted to the new Superman a lot like they reacted to the FNUF trade. Trading your captain, the Justice League is ruined forever. Nah, that guy was the weak link, he was holding the team back. Bottom line, it was a rebuilding period. What could you expect? Think about comic books and hockey teams though. The new bold direction becomes the old status quo pretty quickly. So let's jump forward to this past December. DC comes out with a new book called Superman, Lois and Clark. It has the pre-Flashpoint Superman in the new timeline, trying to prevent the origins of some of his most dangerous villains. It's a neat idea. It'd be neater if Superman had any interesting villains. Kryptonite burn, #Team Batman. This is where it all starts to come together, because that's not the first time Superman's worn that black costume. 1992 saw the death of Superman. Spoilers, Superman died. Which was immediately followed by Reign of the Supermen, where 4 new characters tried to step up and fill in for Superman. They had Shaq, Ray-Ban Man, Locutus of Borg, and had an undercut before it was Cool Boy. Don't call him Superboy, don't mess with the S, and for the love of all that's pink and fluffy, don't ask him about tactile telekinesis. Thing is, it wasn't long at all before the original Superman showed up again, sporting a black costume. And a mullet. With that bit of history in mind, it's obvious what Lois and Clark is trying to do with that black costume and change in personal grooming habits. This is the Superman you remember, back again, like the good old days. But see, DC was double dipping on the nostalgia factor because about the same time, the Chris Pine Superman lost most of his powers. It had something to do with solar flares, it was probably Barry's fault again, it doesn't really matter. Point is, we had a Superman who couldn't fly, but he could leap over reasonably tall buildings. He can't break mountains with his fist, but he's more powerful than a locomotive. He's not winning any foot races with Barry, but he's faster than a speeding bullet. And he's back to focusing on the man on the street, like in the 1930s. And finally, this brings me to the Leafs' new logo, which we all agree is really the old logo, right? 31 points for the year Maple Leaf Gardens was open, 13 veins for the number of cup wins. Is this a logo or the plot device in a Dan Brown novel? Hockey fans and comic fans both love their history, and it's absolutely important to pay tribute to those who came before. But you can't turn back the clock. Superman's never really going to be written by Siegel and Schuster again, and he's never going to be played by Christopher Reeve. And as much as part of me always expects to see Potvin in net, the Leafs are never going to be the same team that they were when I was a kid, or when my dad was a kid, or my grandfather. The Leafs have been in a bad place for a long time. And I think you could make the argument that Superman hasn't had a cup win in a while either. As tempting as it is to give into nostalgia, I'd like to see less focus on recapturing the old magic and more focus on making new magic with new creators or new players. I actually think the new Leafs logo looks pretty great, and I agree that it was time for a change. But on my planet, this means hope. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear somebody speak a lot more intelligently about the Leafs and somehow you're not already following my buddy Steve Dangle, check him out. I'll put a link down below. You can help me out by remembering to like and subscribe, and drop me a comment down below letting me know which NHL teams and superheroes you'd put together. Until next time, keep on henching. All I'm saying is you never saw Jay or Wally pulling this garbage, Barry.